But as I grew up and joined sports, I realized there's such a spiritual aspect to being part of a team, being part of a group. And having come out of a very deeply religious group that involves spiritual feelings and spiritual emotions, I ended up going to graduate school in between my MBA careers, the first 2 or 3 years in psychology. I had got a degree in psychology, philosophy, and religion, a composite degree when I was in college. And I went on to graduate school in between. At that period of time, NBA basketball players were making a modest salary, but it was, it was good. I mean, I came out in '60s, late '60s, was making 12 to 15 to $20,000 a year in the '60s. And it's nothing compared to what's being made now by athletes. So we were preparing for an afterlife outside of basketball. And my preparation was perhaps to be a teacher or to be involved in therapy. I got into a lot of group therapy at that time. Ellis was a real big name at that time, Maslow, etc. And there's a big deal about group dynamics and how people feel accomplished in a group. And so it continued on. A little bit was written in a book I wrote with Charlie Rosen called Maverick in the late '70s. But then as I moved into coaching and experienced that at a coaching level, I began to search for something that would be more meaningful as a coach. And initially, as I moved into the head coaching position with the Chicago Bulls, I tried to bring a little bit of silence and meditation to the group. And in '92, after winning a championship, I wanted to do something different to start the next season. And I was at Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, New York. I'd been there for a number of years. And John Kabat-Zinn and introduced George Mumford as a possible person that would come, former basketball player from the University of Massachusetts, worked in the penal system in Massachusetts with mindfulness, and thought that it might be a real good opportunity to coordinate that together. And I realized that perhaps I wasn't the right person to teach mindfulness to these players. So anyway, we started out in that year. Of course, that's the year Michael Jordan retired from basketball in September, right before training camp. And so we were going through a whole new process of integrating the team. We had 11 of our 12 championship players still back with the team. So they were pretty cooperative. And I'd introduced them to some tribalism through my relationship with the Pine Ridge Indians in Lakota world out in South Dakota. So there's a little tribalism that was involved with the Bulls, and there was a certain sense of that going on at a deeper level. And we talked about a vision quest when we'd gone through a series with the Detroit Pistons back in the early '90s, and we completed a very successful run with 3 championships. But now we're stepping into some unknown territory. And I started having a practice session that was a continuous day. And I thought that perhaps we could do this preseason training, which required 2-a-day practices, usually in the morning and in the evening, and to combine them and just have a practice in the morning, a 2-hour break, and a practice in the afternoon. And during that 2-hour break, they had a lunch, a little rest session, and then we came up and we did these type of issue trainings. Some of it was cooperative and some of it was meditation. And that's when George got introduced into the basketball world with the Chicago Bulls.